Now I've got some. I put some questions out to the greater South African drinking public, and we're going to take some questions from the audience here as well if they choose to participate. But the first one I've got, well, it's actually like 4 questions from 4 different people, but they all relate to the same thing. So
maybe we should go to the audience before we.
All right, okay.
Because I can see eyes glazing over and like.
Sick of us talking.
Isn't my favorite Netflix show on?
Fair enough. Yeah. Are there any questions? Yes. I'm going to repeat the question after you ask it, though. Yeah.
You said it's state of the nation.
Yes.
So what about the rest of South Africa? Anything exciting happening?
Is there anything exciting in wine happening outside of the Western Cape?
About the Western Cape.
Outside of the Western Cape, is there anything exciting?
Again, sorry to be a prophet of doom, but I think the Northern Cape's in big trouble because of water.
So you Orange River, the bulk area.
Yeah. So flood irrigation is going to become increasingly difficult. And that's not. And I've visited with those growers and they're fabulous people. I've never eaten so much meat in my life. And you can look down on those wines or not, but I mean the scale of operation is huge, and it'll be a great the economic repercussions of Orange River Cellars ceasing to be as significant is going to have.
To be wide-reaching.
It's going to be wide-reaching for the industry as a whole. I stand corrected, but I think wine of origin Lanceria was promulgated. I can't wait to taste something out of Lanceria. What else?
I usually see like burning tires in Lanceria when I land and try and drive.
And then there's
this is Lanceria, like where the airport is, yes?
Correct.
Okay.
As I understand.
Right.
And then there's KZN and Abingdon. Laurie Smallthwaite, I think, was her maiden name. She's now married, and her dad. Super people. They try their best, but again, it's the tropics,
Yeah, sorry.
It has a wet summer.
Yeah.
That's an issue. Yeah. Yes.
The question was to say that they're going to produce the best wines. Obviously, Western Cape is head boy or girl when it comes to wine.
No, that's
Yeah.
gender neutral, please. Head them, they them.
Head of South Africa, but yeah, if there's anything interesting.
No. So I really want to make the point again.
What about George? There was some wines around about Otaniqua.
So Newstead Blanc de Blanc 2015 won out of Plettenberg Bay, won to the extent that competitions matter, won everything you could possibly win. It was a fantastic bottle of wine. I mean,
92 from Christian Eedes or 93?
No, really, and so why is that interesting? The point is, Plet's 600 kilometers east from here, and so regions that or parts of the country that even 20 years ago were unthought of are now making some of our very best wine.
What are you looking forward to in the next sort of 5 years of South African wine? What do you think's coming that you're looking forward to? What not what you expect, but what's just over the horizon? Do you think, what's possible? I guess.
So I think we're going to see better wines across all categories because our best operators are incredibly motivated, incredibly progressive, and one thing we haven't spoken about is government, and precisely because government.
Moving on.
No. Precisely because government, we succeed despite government, not because of government, and there's a realization that as an industry we're compelled to do things for ourselves, and which leads to an amazing self-reliance, amazing innovation, and I think what we're going to see in the next 5 years, next 10 years, is even more innovation. I mean, it's the only way we can succeed. So
what sort of innovation are you alluding to?
So everything from Cabernet plantings coming in line with market demand, new healthy.
What does that mean? Less or more?
Well, it's
or different areas, or what do you?
No.
Sorry, that's a meaningless statement to me because I don't know what.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's what I mean is, so we're currently undersupplied for quality Cabernet,
Okay.
and Cabernet leaf roll virus is a massive issue. But with this new foreign investment, we're seeing new plantings. So I think we're going to, when those new plantings come online, we're going to see an upsurge in Cabernet quality.
Okay.
And somebody like Ernie Els is a case in point. They are fully committed to Cabernet. They're investing huge amounts of money in order to be.
I mean, something like Lariche as well, the same thing.
On the one hand, on the other hand, you've got our boutique operations trying to future-proof for climate change, planting warm climate varieties that we've previously never encountered in South Africa, taking their cue from Southern Europe, and we're going to be drinking wines from grapes we've never heard of.
And this is a good thing.
Must be a good thing. I mean, again, climate change is a reality, and we need to make sure that the national vineyard is suitably planted.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question from my list here, and then we can put it back to the audience again. It's an interesting one, actually. It's probably more. You're probably the best person, almost in the country, to answer this one. Why aren't more young, qualified people involved in wine judging, even at the base level? And this is from an anonymous question. They didn't want to put their name on it.
So it's a thorny issue. It's something that exercises on my mind often. I think breaking into the industry is incredibly difficult. It's not.
Why is that?
It's because it's not well remunerated.
Is it because of people like you and me, or?
I think there's an element of gatekeeping for sure. That doesn't mean that David Clarke and Christian Eedes are the most guilty. But you have to be either fairly privileged or prepared to settle for a very mediocre income and absolutely obsessed with the subject, because it is great fun. But if you're doing it for the money, you've probably chosen the wrong career.
Wrong move.
Wrong move. Yeah.
But I mean, is it just there's not enough money in the South African system? Because I look around the world.
No, it's global. For sure. No, look, I mean,
South Africa's from what I can see, and I'm not special or but from what I can see, it's. I mean, I look at the platter judging panel, for example, and I feel young, and I'm mid-40s.
No, so
that's not right.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. But my point is, if you look at the leading industry figures around the world, they tend to be male and white, not just in South Africa.
No, but we're talking about age.
They tend to be male, white, and
there was nothing about. There was not. Well, now you're making sense. But there was nothing about gender or colour here. It was all about age.
Yeah. So I think what's male and white got to do with it? You've got gatekeepers who have got positions of privilege that they're reluctant to let go of, and that's it. So speaking, so YMAG has tried to address this directly, and I think we are doing quite a good job in that. Out of our regular panel, we have 2 people of color, 2 women, and I think all our judges, bar me, are now under 40. and 2 people of color and 2 females. So I'm quite proud of that. Previously, we were not transformed enough. Now our panel's not experienced enough. So there you go.
It's at the moment. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
And you can't have one without.
Damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, I get you. But also, like, name. I mean, you're self-sustaining in a wine journalistic critique capacity. How many other people of whatever age, whatever gender, whatever persuasion are doing the same in South Africa?
So I mean that's a great point, and not terribly many.
There's not enough money in the system.
There's not enough money in the system, and I am where I am by partly by good luck and partly by dint of hard work. And if you're in your 20s and you want to be a wine writer, I'd strongly advise you not to bother. You're on a hiding to nothing.
Or do it as a sideline.
Or do it as a hobby. Or do it as a side hustle. But you really aren't going to struggle to pay the bill.
Have something that pays the bills first.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh yes, we've got one in the front row. We'll get you second. Yeah.
Can I comment on just the discussion that you've been having? So that question was particularly related to wine judging. There are a lot of young people, say I as an old person, there are a lot of young people who are highly influential in the wine world.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt you so I can. So there's a lot of young people who are highly influential in the wine world.
Yeah, and so they are. I think they're making waves. People are.
Yeah. Right. So it's no longer just the wine judges that are making waves.
Points in judging.
Yeah.
About influencing.
It's more about influencing. Thanks, Nicola.
A really attractive person posting a picture of themselves
Thanks,
at
mate.
sunset
Appreciate
time on
it.
Instagram. Is that what we're talking about?
No, pretty much one of the first, actually. And he might be a really attractive person, I'm not sure. But, my nephew's 29 years old, a young medical student, well, just first medical student, got a bit of money. And he thinks what John is offering is really cool. Now, John
So you have a specific example that says that John Lefebvre is doing some really good things, and why is that, do you think? What's the attraction there? No, but what's the attraction to John, or what?
His wife's a doctor.
What's the point you're making?
That there are young people who are having a lot of
Yes.
on young people.
So there's young people in the industry having influence, not necessarily in the wine judging sphere. Okay, that's a really good point. I think that's very good. I mean, the industry is a lot more complex and complicated than it was, and there's more ways to get to market for sure. We had another question 2 rows back. Yes.
Maybe your easiest one today.
Oh, perfect. We like an easy question.
What's your pour tonight? What are the 2 of you drinking?
What are we doing?
What are you drinking?
What are we drinking this evening? We're drinking Camaraderie 21 by Lucas van Lachrenberg, which is a little Swartland Chenin. We were drinking at the start of the evening the 2022 Poitevin Chenin by Alice Verberg. So this is Niels and Penny's daughter from Luddite, and this is her little. This is the first time I've tasted it. I represent Luddite. I don't get to drink this unless I pay for it. So thanks for that, Matt. Next question, Yvonne. We'll get Yvonne, and then we'll get Matt.
Just a quick question, Kishan. I didn't hear you well on French. What you think of it? Are they going up? You mentioned Chamonix.
Is Franschhoek improving or not? What's the situation? In synopsis. Too long didn't read. Too long didn't listen.
Franschhoek, Boekenhoutkloof has got a state-of-the-art cellar there, but that production facility could be anywhere. They make one excellent white wine from Old Vine Semillon. They make one excellent red wine from Cabernet, their own vineyards, and those are benchmark wines.
And nothing else is happening in Franschhoek apart from those 2 wines?
So Chamonix is in transition, new ownership, new winemaker.
Rickety Bridge?
Rickety Bridge is pretty solid, I'd grant you. Say again?
Wildeberg?
Wildeberg, Wine Mag's Winery of the Year last year.
Yeah.
But they buy their grapes from everywhere.
How many WO Franschhoek wines do they make? Off the top of your head?
they've planted new vineyards with a view to making a
So
a
is that,
flagship.
is that zero or?
Pretty much, or very little of their portfolio.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Matt,
Christian, who are your top three winemakers to watch?
who are your top 3 winemakers to watch?
People that we have in like,
On the cusp. I'll make want some insight.
No.
You know-
people that we don't know about.
No, it's a great question, and there are going to be people that you know about, but I think it's a question I get a lot is have we peaked in terms of excitement, and then it's always very amusing to watch the annual feeding frenzy when the Alite, Sardi, Malinu wines come out, and because they're so exciting and hip and they're so cutting edge and the winemakers are so young and meanwhile they're all in their late 40s, early 50s.
Butchie's 41. Not even 40.
So what,
Young
what,
man.
what-
Young.
So that's just to give you, that's to sort of set the scene. What I find incredibly exciting, genuinely exciting, and Ali Verberg, who's learning at her father's feet, so to speak. Rhiannon Borman taking over from Jacques at Boschkloof, and of course you've all heard about Boschkloof. But
That dude is a weapon.
Rhiannon's not 50, and neither is Ali, so there's this, and there are these very clever, inspired youngsters who are doing it because they just love it so much, and they're making really, really exciting wines, and you can still, I had a wine from Albert van Niekerk, who's cellar assistant to Peter Allen Finlayson, and he's like such a smart young man, and it was a Shannon.
And John Seckham, he works for both of them.
Right, but and it was just a fantastic one, and nobody's talking about it yet. I mean, maybe it's got to get international acknowledgement before everybody wants to buy it at any price. But I'm saying those wines are out there, and we all need to trust our own palates and go and find them for yourselves, because they really are out there. Sardi is unattainable already. It just goes to very rich collectors, and good luck to Eedes. But they're just beneath that tier is some fabulous wine.
Paul Jordan is making some nice wine.
Paul Jordan, again, Eben's assistant. And I stumbled across his Stellenbosch wine from Firgrove, or the Hildeberg foothills. Nobody had mentioned it to me. I think he got, other ratings agencies had given it very mediocre scores. I was blown away by it. And then wrote it up, and everybody goes, "Where can I buy it? Where can I buy it?" So I'm going, I think it's about paying attention, and just scratching a little bit beneath the surface. And read Wine Man, because it's like you get a daily rating every day.
I no longer have a microphone, so I'm just going to have to shout at you. Luckily, I have the voice for it. The other thing I would point out is not all great things come from new producers. Where there is an obsession in South Africa, because we're, over the last 10, 20 years, because of the rapid nature of change, we've got used to new being good. Sometimes established producers are doing really, really great things and really, really cutting edge things, but not getting the credit for it because there's a new person with a new label, and new is very, very exciting. So I think I had a conversation with someone in the audience probably about 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and I said, look, I'm not concentrating on the new anymore. I'm concentrating on quality. Speaking about myself, and it was only a conversation that was born out of talking to that person that I realised that was the move going forward, rather than just always seeking what's new, because what new isn't. Those two things aren't synonymous.
I mean, the Thelinas and the Delheims, to name.
I think yours is dead now as well. You have to go shout.
The Thelinas and the Delheims, to name two off the top of my head, just lovely wines. They might be working with. I had a Delheim Grand Reserve. It's just It's Cab Merlot, so it's not sexy, but it's just delicious, And to David's point, we need to keep an open mind about those well-established brands.
Yeah, what is new? Like getting 10% better is new each year. I'm going to go here and then I'll go there. Why does alcohol by volume, ABV, level continue to be so high in SA, where at a time when global markets are looking for lower ABV in general and more elegant wine? Why do we persist in making 14.5% and 15% alcohol wine? This is from Jean.
So I think it's a fairly easy question to answer.
Perfect.
I'm not to say it's not a relevant or sensible question. One, we have a lot of sunshine, which means we get ripeness, which means we get high alcohols. Two,
Yeah, but there's no disease process, so you could actually, pick earlier. So there's an option there.
Two,
It's not the only.
Agreed.
So I don't want to be.
no, that was going to be my next point.
Yeah, okay.
So increasingly, growers are choosing to pick earlier, which means a lower alcohol as a result. And the three, high alcohol doesn't necessarily mean bad. I mean, if the wine's in balance, and I'm not, it sounds like a glib thing to say, but actually, if the wine's in balance, then the 14.8 alcohol is not really an issue. And 11.5 can be very skeletal, thin, and unrewarding. So it's.
No, I don't think they said it's bad wine. It's just that it's against where the rest of the world's drinking.
No, sure, but I mean, different horses for different courses. I mean, if the ambient temperature, if it's lunchtime in summer in the Cape, then you don't want a massive wine. But if you're having
Well, that goes to their point. Like, why are they continuing to make big wines?
My point, my retort is that there's a place for big wines when the weather's cold and you've got hearty food in front of you. I don't necessarily want an 11.5% alcohol wine.
Okay, so you think that their experience is different from yours?
No, I think I don't think South Africa is it's a sweeping statement to say that South Africa only makes big overripe wine.
No. Yes, of course. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying they're continuing to make it, and by the producers that you've spoken about as sort of leading the way, and you've mentioned them over and over again, these producers have actually pulled back their alcohol levels. So you're probably on board with this, saying pulling back from 14.5, 15 back to 13.5.
No, what I'm saying is Glen Eddie Lady May, which is a Bordeaux blend from a really leading producer. Those wines sit on the cusp of 15, but they're brilliant.
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah. Okay. We're going to go around in circles. All right. We'll move on. More questions out here before I've got one here. No, they're dumbfounded. They're so enamored with you. Question from Jessica Salve, who's been mentioned already. What is the most common mistake that South African wine producers seem to make? Sure. Really good question, I thought.
No, it's a really good question, but it's actually...
In your opinion?
No, this is really difficult to answer because...
There's so many.
Well, to some extent... Well, clearly the fact that the industry is in such peril suggests that we're making a lot of mistakes.
Is it in peril? I thought this was the zenith of South African wine, over the last 200 years.
So I think the biggest mistake that gets made is a lack of a coherent business plan. And that's really beyond my field of expertise. I did philosophy at university and I lucked my way into a wine writing job. But I mean, it is, a basic understanding of a balance sheet in many instances seems to be absent. And that might sound very condescending on my part, but as I say, the industry generally is...
I think she's meaning because your main job is to taste wines and tell people and produce a number.
I was curious what Jessica was asking, Nick, because
in the glass...
A pet peeve is not keeping your fact sheets on your website up to date? Now, that's kind of basic stuff, guys.
Yeah.
You know, like you've just released the 22, and it's the 2019 that's on the website.
But in the glass, is there like a winemaking issue or like a too much oak, not enough oak, too much acid, too much ripeness, or?
No, I mean, certainly 15 years ago there were some real basic areas like clumsy oaking, like a lack of hygiene. You know, there are a lot of bacterial faults.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that's very much a thing of the past.
Okay.
Now we're really down to stylistics. Like,
Yeah, right.
You know, like when to pick. You know, and
Yeah.
which is terrific. I mean, we've come a long, long way in
Okay.
a very short space of time.
Well, if I asked that question, I mean, Matt asked that question anyway. What produces what areas? I mean, we addressed the regions before.
look, I
But
mean-
what areas are you looking for
So I think
to,
I think
in
it's
5
ga-
years' time?
It's game on.
Which areas are going to be most improved, in your opinion, right now?
Walker Bay, you know, as I said, generally,
Yeah.
Stanford, Sondagskloof, and it just seems to be so a similar thing seems to be happening in Walker Bay that happened in Swartland 15 years ago. Like Swartland's spoken for, so where can I get a little patch of interesting vineyard or two? And Walker Bay seems to be where it's at. You know, Bot River, Sondagskloof, Stanford.
So affordable land that is relatively good to plant grapes on.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, apart from Walker Bay, other two?
Well, you know, as I said, it's game on. You've got Ceres Plateau. You've got, you know, everything from Hermanus through to Plettenberg Bay. I think we're going to be continue to be surprised what comes out of there. You know.
Matt Manning submitted a question. What are your top 3 wine faux pas or pet peeves? Maybe serving or what's your, or making, what's your?
Well, Matt's in the room. Are you talking about sort of high level or low level? It's like, you know, restaurants, please don't serve your red wines too warm or your white wines too cold. You know, it's pretty basic stuff, and yet. And please don't overfill the glasses.
It's not a whinge session. Just.
Pet peeves. I mean, I'm not a big fan of wax, but I mean it seems to be here to stay. I do know how to open a wax capsule, but it does always crumble. Sometimes into the bottle, which is always a pain in the ass.
He's not aggressive enough with the extraction.
Well, at 5 o'clock on a weekday night, I'm pretty aggressive.
Fair enough. All right. We're about 2 hours in. I think that's where we should cool down.
Cheese and charcuterie on the bar.
Oh, there's cheese and charcuterie in the bar. Look, I think we're done.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody. Amazing. Thank you, Christian. Thanks to anyone on the live stream. Appreciate it. Thanks, Cindy, for your passion. I'll see you downstairs for a brandy.